Welcome to Paula White Today. We are dealing with how to develop healthy relationships, and often life has handed you the wrong tools. Your childhood sent you signals that keep you messed up today, but we are going to give you the solution through God's Word, and we have behavioral therapist of life skills, Dr. Paul Hegstrom, and it is so good to have him out of Denver, Colorado. Your ministry is based, and you yourself do not have head knowledge of this, but a very powerful testimony. You've written a book of angry men and the women who love them. In a nutshell, for the sake of our viewer who has not seen you or heard you or know your testimony, tell us your story real quick, Dr. Paul.
Real quick, I was molested as a child several times, but the big one was the rape at eight and a half years of age by an older man. And that created tremendous amounts of anger, and also my self-esteem was down the tubes, because what did I do to cause this man to do this to me? I must be latently homosexual. So to overcompensate for that, I had to be rough and tough and like girls more than a normal child would like girls, that type of thing. I married very early. Judy was 16 when we got married. I had just turned 19 about 2 weeks earlier. And on the second day of our marriage, I went off on her physically and battered her and did some intense damage to her, which is still we're dealing with today because of the surprise of the physical abuse. I'd been emotionally abusive to her. We lived that way for about 16 and a half years. The last 3.5 years, I pastored a mainline denomination church, thinking that if I put myself under the pressure of a pastorate, that would curb my behavior, but it didn't. It got worse, more stress in my life. I left the ministry, left the marriage, and moved into Minneapolis and worked for rock and roll radio station, and that had been my history before the pastorate, is rock and roll radio. And so got in there, and for several years, drugs, alcohol, and pornography, and got into a live-in relationship with a woman and ended up battering her so badly that I was facing 15 to 22 in the state pen, looking at attempted murder charge. And that's where God got a hold of me and turned me around. I yielded my life to Christ basically for the first time, and really got saved. And out of that experience, I reconciled with my wife after 3.5 years of separation, 3.5 years of divorce, so we were apart 7 years. And we're celebrating 25 years now of the second marriage, which for 25 years has been free of any kind of abuse, emotional, physical, any kind of abuse. And there are 22 types of abuse we've identified in marriages. So it's pretty inclusive. I mean, it's a pretty good size parent control wheel.
Right, and we understand statistically 53% of people sitting in church today will experience some kind of physical abuse this year.